We know how to add and subtract and simplify radicals. Today we're going to be looking at multiplying radicals. So we're just going to dive right in. We've kind of already seen it when we've been doing our simplifying, so this shouldn't be super new. For example, I have the square root of 3 and the square root of 2. With radicals, we're going to go ahead and just multiply them together. As long as it's a square root and a square root, multiply them together. Same with cube roots to cube roots. Just multiply them together. So here, the square root of 3 times the square root of 2 is simply the square root of 6, Square root of 6. Boom, done. Okay? Here, we have the square root of 6 times the square root of 2. Well, that's going to give me the square root of 12. 6 times 2 is 12. Here, with 12, we know that we can simplify this. So once we multiply, we want to make sure we can go in and make sure our radical is fully simplified. So factors of 12, let's do 2 and 6, square root both. And then the factors of 6, that's 2 and 3, square root both. So like I said, we're already seeing that multiplication. Root 2 times root 3 is root 6. Here, square root of 2 times the square root of 2, that's going to give me 2, and then I'm left with the square root of 3. So once we multiply them together, we want to make sure that we can simplify as well. All right, here's my example. I have 2 root 3 times 2 root 15. What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my coefficients together. So that's the first thing we want to do. Multiply the coefficients. So 2 times 2 is going to give me 4. And then I'm going to multiply the square root of 3 times the square root of 15. So my next step, I am going to multiply the radicals together. So 3 times 15, I'm going to end up with the square root of 45. So I multiply the coefficients together, I multiply the radicals together, and then my last step, I want to make sure I go in and simplify. Okay, so factors of 45, I'm going to do 9 and 5, square root both. The square root of 9 is 3. So 3 times 4 is 12, and I'm left with the square root of 5. Multiplied my radicals together, and I simplified my expression. Done. So my next two examples are bringing us back to our multiplying polynomials unit. So when we were multiplying polynomials, we have a monomial times a binomial here. What we're going to do is we're going to distribute the monomial to both terms. Okay? So I'm going to take my negative 3 root 2, and I'm going to multiply it to 2 root 3. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Square root of 2 times the square root of 3 is the square root of 6. I can't simplify the 6 because its factors are just 3 and 2, so that's fully simplified. Then I'm going to take negative 3 root 2 and I'm going to times that to 6. The 6 doesn't have a radical, so I'm just going to take negative 3 times 6, which is negative 18, square root 2. I can't simplify, my radicals don't match, so there's my expression. Just make sure I'm distributing. Here we have a binomial times a binomial, so I'm going to distribute both terms from the first binomial to both terms of the second binomial. So 5 root 3 times 2 root 3. 5 times 2 is 10, and then the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, we'll go ahead and write that as the square root of 9, just so we take this step by step. Then I'm going to take 5 root 3 times 4 root 2. 5 times 4 is 20. Root 3 times root 2 is root 6. All right, so we distributed the first term, so now we're going to distribute the second term. 2 times 2 root 3. 2 times 2 is 4, root 3. And then 2 times 4 root 2 is 8 root 2. All right, after I distribute, I can't combine anything, but here the square root of 9 is 3, so my answer is 30 plus 20 root 6 plus 4 root 3 plus 8 root 2. Okay, multiplying polynomials. Go ahead and just multiply the radicals together, multiply the coefficients together, simplify if needed. Go forth, have fun.